Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to our CTN Zoom Table Talk. Today we have wonderful, wonderful guests. We are going to have a wonderful discussion, but before we start, we're going to have everyone introduce themselves, starting with the guys. So if anyone can jump in and say who you are and relationship status.
Hello, everyone. My name is Winner. Relationship status, undisclosed.
Okay, my name is Peter Dewusi, single.
My name is Ademola, single.
My name is Destiny. It was undisclosed.
Thank you, guys. Ladies.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rose, and relationship status, I'm going to go with the guys, undisclosed. I like that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aura, and I agree to undisclosed.
All right, guys. Hopefully, we'll change that in the near future.
Wait, what about you, Chelsea?
Oh, my name is Chelsea. I am single, ready to mingle. Let God do something great. So thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you being in our CTN video for today. We are going to discuss the importance of money in a relationship. So we'll start with Brother Peter, would you like to start us off on our discussion? So what is the importance of money in a relationship to you?
Thank you so much. I got placed in the spot, right? But that's fine. I think it's very important, and it's like from the perspective saying it's very important. I'll just put it that way. It's very money plays a vital role from both sides. So talking about probably when you're dating, when you're going out, depending on the society expectation, you might as well expect the guy to make payments and so on like that. But at least maybe once in a while, the lady, if you're on the path of saying that, okay, we are in this relationship into marriage, right? And you're both assured of that, there's no big deal for the lady to also try to say, okay, can I just do something or a surprise and so on like that. Yeah, I'll just leave it that way for now to begin the run.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to go next or sing?
I could chime in. This is from like a cultural Nigerian perspective, whatever. I feel like there's this nuance that the dynamic between like a man and woman, like, oh, man has to, provide, take care of his wife, et cetera, et cetera. And, a woman, we unfortunately have those expectations set up because of the fact of our environment and cultural imposition or whatever. But if we're talking about like the attitude and the values towards money specifically, I think it's more so about how you manage your money, not about how much money you have. And this is from an objective view, not my view. So just want to put that out there. And I think because people always say like, oh, love is important, yada, yada, yada. But love doesn't feed you, doesn't clothe you, doesn't put a roof over your head. And if there's no financial compatibility, I think that relationship is doomed from the start. Because if you don't have a conversation about like, oh, like, what is your financial goals? Like, oh, you want to buy a house or you want to do this, etc. And if that standard is not set from the beginning, then the entire relationship is going to crumble. Because I remember I was doing a little research about this before our little meeting. I was like, oh, and I found that like financial issues is like the leading cause of divorce. Like, let that sink in. So that's just my take on that.
I agree with both of them, what they said. I feel like in a relationship, money is like important, and also just like with the rate of how things is like going right now in the whole world, so there's like stuff is expensive, so you gotta be financially stable to be in a relationship. That was what I told myself when I was in high school or something. But I was like, I'm not gonna date or anybody like that until I start working. So that was what I stand with. So it was like after I started working and I'm like getting paid every 2 weeks, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to be like go into a relationship or something like that. So I think like money is like important.
Ademola or Ref, do you guys want to, or Winner, do you guys want to say anything?
I agree too that money is important in a relationship, especially when you want to have a family later down in the future. You're gonna need money to provide for your family, and your kids can't be broken, have children. So that's my stance on it.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said. I think money also too is an important thing to factor in. Actually, even before going into a relationship, because like what was said, you want to eventually have a family. There's gonna be things you want to do, and I really like what Destiny said about making that goal. I'm not gonna date if I'm not at a certain financial goal. So,
I wanted to I wanted to hear what everyone has to say. Excuse me. Okay, so let's say for instance, I know we are not supposed. I know Pastor always says when you're second year of college, you should date. So I want to take a different route a little bit. So let's say for instance, you met someone when you were in the second year of college, and then the person obviously doesn't have it's not financially stable. So and then the conversation of career comes in. Do you think you can exchange that over money at that stage? Just a thought, before I chime in what I want to say.
I think I understand what your question is posing. Are you saying depending at what stage you are in your life?
Yes, stage.
Then that's when the money conversation might be either trivial or very critical. Because for instance, if you're a 16-year-old dating somebody else who's also 16, I'm not worried about you paying bills or anything of the sort. Versus if you're 30 years old and I'm okay, do you have a roof over your head or do you have a pile of debt? I feel depending on what stage you are in your life and what you have, responsibilities, if you have kids, etc. I think that would determine how the conversation goes. Is that what you're asking, Winner?
Yes. I wanted to hear that stage you talked about. So for me, that's where I'm driving towards. I think money is important. Depends on what stage you're in your life. If you are, say for instance, you're in college, let's not say 16 years old because that's too extreme. But let's say for instance you're in college and you're dating someone, you're talking to someone, you're obviously not gonna, that sorts of conversation might not be on your mind at that particular moment. But of course, you have goals, you have career aspirations, things you want to do professionally, So maybe that's where your conversation will be leaning towards for that stage of your life. So for me, I feel like money is important depending on the stage you are in your life.
Okay, let's get very. Oh yeah, go Destiny. What do you want to say?
What do you think? I'm asking what you think. Yeah, you.
I think. Oh. Yeah. Okay. I definitely agree with. I think it does depend on the stage in your life. But I remember there was a discussion that someone even had, they won't even date someone if they're in debt. And I felt like that was very unrealistic. And I'll say this, because say you were in school, you took loans out. I feel like because now you're paying your loan, I feel like that shouldn't stop you from now wanting to date someone. Unfortunately, when you do get married and that person does still have loan debt, I feel like, yes, that loan becomes your loan. I don't think that should stop someone from dating them, which goes back to why I think money is very important in a relationship, because I feel like Rose said, I feel like that's you can't, how are you going to eat? How are you going to clothe yourself? I feel like there's essentials for life that you need money. But I feel like when it comes to a relationship, I feel like there's so much that you can build off of what you have. Another thing Rose said that I really liked is not how much you have. I feel like it's how you're able to use your money. Because there's some people, they are not the richest people in the world, but they have enough that they know how to make the money that they have in their relationship, feasible. They're able to use it to an extent. They know how to cater to whoever they're dating in the way that they're able to with the money that they have. Even the example that you gave, Destiny, saying you won't even date someone until you're financially stable, or you at least have income coming into your pocket. I feel like that makes a lot of sense, and that goes into responsibility, because I feel like a lot of the times relationship is responsibility. How responsible are you to even take care of the person you're trying to date? And I feel like that also does go back into how important money is. To what Winner said in regards to, say you're in college or and you're dating someone, I don't think that should stop you from dating someone. But I think that just also goes back to getting your priorities in check, if that makes sense. So if you're trying to date someone, don't say you're about to take them to somewhere like extreme, somewhere you won't even take yourself. Yes, you want to make the person feel special, but don't go to your means that you won't be able to be consistent. You know, that it gets to a point that now you feel like you're stressing yourself out financially in a relationship. Because I feel like there's a lot of people that meet in college, they date in college, and there's a mutual understanding of like where they are financially. You know, maybe they're both taking loans out. You don't expect the person to like, you know, have all the money in the world. So that's just my stance.
So we are looking at this thing. Well, okay, we are looking at this relationship thing in a different way. It's not something that you just jump into by yourself. You can actually come together with the person you're talking to, the person you're, in a relationship with, and build something together. So maybe we've all been looking at it from, okay, me, instead of we. But then again, at what point do you now bring in the we? Because when you come into a relationship with someone, it is just, you're trying to get to know the person and everything. But at what point do you now bring in the we in that relationship?
We to what extent?
We to now, okay, so we've been talking about money and everything, But the money we're talking about now is about the two of you, Whereas I'm talking about, at one point do you now bring in yourself into that relationship and now know that this thing you're about to do, you're doing it together instead of individually, Because I feel like we've all have this conception that if I'm not where I want to be, I'm not going to go into a relationship with someone. Instead of going to that relationship with someone and build something together with someone and see where that takes you.
Okay. I think that points, it's really something good. And I believe this is something important when a conversation of which or picture of which we have to be able to put ourselves with the person we're dating when it comes to, okay, we approaching marriage. Because if if we're just talking about, okay, my money alone and getting into the marriage with that still same point or same perspective, never reconsidering to saying our money. Like I could say our money and you could also tell me, okay, it's our money, including your money. It's our money. So I believe that way we could be able to have a kind of like an open mind to each other and be able to be selfless enough to saying that, okay, what belongs to me is for my other spouse as well, or what is mine is for my spouse as well. We could easily like relate to that, saying, I think that will be the best way if we consider that ahead of marriage.
So in regards to like when is the we introduced, I feel like with finances, the we isn't introduced until like marriage. Like I don't think like you should ever join bank accounts with your boyfriend or girlfriend, or like, even do more permanent stuff like, getting a house or, leasing something together or whatever. And what else was I gonna say? I feel like with like spiritual matters, of course, that's always like a we thing. But I think it's important that like when you're dating, not married yet, that you follow honestly God's directions. So I feel like you can definitely like factor in your partner, but ultimately it's like what God wants, because you're not married yet. So technically you don't have to like submit to, anyone yet. So you, for instance, you want to go out of state for school and you feel God is strongly calling you out of state for school, but your partner wants you here, like obviously you should obey the voice of God first.
I have a hot take on what Cora said. I personally don't believe, like, regardless of whether you're married or not, that you should have a joint account. That's just my personal belief. I feel like everybody should manage their own finance. Not that I'm saying that like the husband shouldn't have access to the wife's, account or vice versa. Like they could have access to it so they know what's going on and what the money's being spent on. But I personally don't feel like having a joint account is beneficial personally. Like y'all can manage your finance together, but separately. That's my hot take on that. And secondly, another hot take, I feel like there should be a division of assets. I'm being practical here, y'all. Like, cause I see y'all making faces, and I'm like, I'm just being practical. Like, I feel like in like permanent stuff, like houses and stuff, I feel like there should be like a division of assets, and that's just me on that for financing.
Are there any thoughts or reasons like behind that?
Like, I'm trying to think. Okay, from a practical sense, the reason why I say that is because y'all, divorce rates are high. So like, God forbid something happens, like things are clean and cut. And like, I'm not saying that, like, me personally, I'm not saying that, like, my own personal opinion is not that essentially, but I'm trying to think about it from like an objective view. Like, it's just beneficial to have a division of assets, because I know of a family friend who got married, and when they separated, the wife took everything. He was left with nothing. They had a house, assets, all this other stuff, and he was left with nothing. And I didn't really ask into the details of that, but like, I think it's almost like a trauma response too, a little bit, because it's just like, oh, I saw that happen to somebody else. I wouldn't want that happening to me or a loved one. So I just personally believe, like, to some degree, maybe having your assets separated would protect you. Not that I'm saying like your partner or whoever you choose as your partner will harm you, but just almost like, just protect yourself. Protect yourself. I don't know. That's just, I don't know what y'all thoughts are on that. You guys might disagree, but yeah.
I like that you said it you're speaking from you're trying to be practical, but I still feel like at the end of the day, divorce should be the last thing in our mind whenever you're going into marriage. I know you're trying to be practical, okay? Don't hold it against me. But when you're going into a relationship, whether marriage or anything, of course, marriage is the end goal. Divorce should always be the last thing in our mind. So that means that comes down to who you're getting married to, who the person is. So you don't want to pick somebody up from the streets and get married to the person. That's where the divorce is gonna come in, So my take on that is divorce should always be at the last thing. It should never even come up to our thoughts, So that's just my own take, Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I preface it by saying, like, based on statistics, I'm not talking about from my personal, like, kind of view. Yes, I do understand that I've seen and heard some stuff, and that's why, to some degree, my perspective might be a little bit shifted in comparison to other people. But I'm trying to look at it from a practical standpoint. So, but yeah, that's on that.
So I'm curious to know, if you guys don't know what a prenup is, I'll explain. But where are your guys' thoughts? Specifically, I'll talk in our group. Is it okay for Christians to have a prenup? If so, explain. If not, explain. And a prenup is basically like an agreement that a husband and a wife will make with each other, saying that, whatever I enter this marriage with, I will leave if, that comes to that extent. So do you think it's okay for a Christian to sign that kind of form, which is a prenup, when entering a marriage? And this also does go back into like, money and relationships and like, what you own basically. So what are your thoughts?
So for me personally, I think it's okay, especially to like what Rose was saying about like the division of assets. I mean, I know people feel like you sign a prenup is like you have like divorce like at the forefront of your mind, but honestly, I see it also too just like as like a safety measure, like anything could just happen. You do want to be secured. Just because I think it's okay though doesn't mean like personally I would sign one, but I wouldn't like judge another Christian for signing one. And also too, like, there are prenups that have like cheating clauses, so that's also another reason why like I feel like, yeah, if you want to sign prenups, do all that stuff, like it's okay, because anything could happen. So
okay, to me, I'm gonna advise no, and reason is because just like Rowena made mention, saying divorce should be the last thing on our mind. So if that's not at the front view, if that's not in our mind, we, even before we get into that stage of marriage, this is somebody I'm in a relationship with. This is somebody I've built trust in. This is somebody I'm comfortable in. This is somebody I could rely on. This is somebody that I could put in charge of what, in quote, belongs to me, and I'm not worried about it. So if we have gotten into that stage, if we've gotten into that confidence with each other, I wouldn't think that is necessary. That's just my point of view.
I have a question. Forgive me on my ignorance. Can you have a prenup and still have a will? Like, I'm like, for example, like, and I say this because you can have a prenup, like dividing assets, but God forbid something happened to you or your spouse, and you have a will saying like, oh, if anything happens to me, my asset goes to my spouse or my kids. Because I feel like, as Oris was saying earlier, like, I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with a prenup. Would I personally sign one? I'm not sure. I don't know. But I just feel like if you can have a prenup, and to kind of counter that balance of like concern about, oh, you're having divorce at the forefront of your mind, you could have a will in place, like to kind of balance it out almost. I don't know. Just saying.
Can I ask, well, this is for the group, but it's in response to Brother Wally's question. Okay, well, I assume we all have health insurance, right? So like illness is not at the forefront of your mind. So then why do you have health insurance?
So this is okay. So health insurance, like if you, from where I came from, this is not something that is mandatory. For here, it's something that is mandatory. So this is the society standard. So this is the standard over here. So yes, we don't have that in mind, but this is basically the standard here. Just like even car insurance, it's also the standard here. It's required. It's expected. So that is the standard here, I would say.
Oh no, health insurance is not mandatory. Car insurance is though in New York, but yeah, not health insurance.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
So in regards to Rose, so I searched it up. It said you can have both. And what they explained was that to protect your loved ones and their benefits is important that, your legal documents are complement, each other. So they say you can have both at the same time. Yeah. So it's okay to have both. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just like a follow-up question. Like, don't you think like having a prenup, will it cause like a power imbalance between the spouses? Like the partners? Like, I don't know what your take is on that. Because like if somebody owns more things, like for example, like the house, the cars, etc., and like the other partner only owns like one item, I don't know if that, like, I don't know what your take is on that. Like, do you think it could cause a power imbalance if there's a prenup and knowing that like, oh yeah, my spouse has more of the assets, so God forbid something happens, this is what's going to happen?
I think it's more of not necessarily, well, for me, it's not necessarily power imbalance. It's more of, if anything goes wrong, that there's a prenup. So if you guys divorce, you can easily bring it up in a conversation, not knowing fully well that this prenup is there. So if anything goes wrong, you won't even care to fight for your relationship. So any small thing now, you're not be leaning towards divorce because you know that if you guys divorce, there's something waiting for you out there. And if say for instance your husband now is now making more than you are, now he's basically gonna share half of everything he has with you. So that's my own take on that. I feel like with the prenup of a thing, any small thing, you're now leaning towards divorce. That's just my own take. Again, don't hold it against me. You're not leaning towards divorce instead of trying to fight for your relationship. So again, I still feel like you shouldn't even bring it up in the conversation you're having. This is my take. You shouldn't bring it up in a conversation you're having. But I always say, go the person you are trying to date. Make sure it's who you want. Make sure it's what you want to do. Make sure you are. I used to tell my friends, before you go into a relationship, you have to be mentally prepared to go into a relationship. You don't just wake up in the morning and be like, hey, I want to go into a relationship with this person. It has to be something you are mentally prepared to do. Because there are so many things that's involved in it. So many sacrifices you have to make. So you have to make sure that the person you're making that sacrifices with and for is the person you want to do it with. So with that being said, prenup will not come in as a conversation if that is definitely what you want to do and if the person you are dating is who you want to date. So signing that statement or that document is not advisable for us Christians. I know we're trying to be practical, but you still have to have that at the back of your mind. This is my own take. Thank you.
And I really like that. I really like that. I support that. Because definitely, if you kind of like, it's basically like making a an exit for you. So any little thing, you're just ready to step away. Oh, I mean, I understand. I mean, but I knew it's basically like just to be safe, just for in case of anything. I really understand. We could also picture that as fear, and you're not really sure about this person. But yeah, if you've trusted this person and so on like that. For the will, I believe will is definitely something encouraged. In any for anyone. For the will, you guys could always have a will, but yeah, apart from will, I don't think anything else. Anything else is just gonna be like, okay, for you. And also when we're talking about saying now one of the spouse begin to make high money because of this exit plan, in quote, exit plan set already, you might not even be willing to use your own resources just because of that. You might be restricted, saying, okay, probably I don't want to spend too much just in case of anything. So it might really cut you off some way. The love flow might not be really there if such is in place. That's what I think.
I'm just a little bit confused. 2 points. Is there anywhere in the Bible where it says anything about prenup? Because I don't think I've come across it personally. Secondly, I feel like the entire conversation, like regarding prenup, has been in a negative connotation. Like, oh, divorce. Like, I don't think that's the only purpose for a prenup. I feel like there might be positive outlooks or positive ways that a prenup could help or be beneficial for a relationship without the notion or idea of like divorce in the back of people's head. Because so far everybody's just like divorce this, divorce that. I'm just like, is that the only purpose of a prenup? Like, I'm a little bit confused.
So is there another purpose? Is there another reason that you want to sign a prenup?
I don't know. I never signed one, so I've never really had to look into it. But I just feel like I would hope there's like a positive reason, because so far this conversation regarding prenup has been like in a negative mindset, like, oh, any little thing happened and they left. So just wanted to put that out there, like, just so we're aware of our biases, but that's not, yeah. Okay.
Well, for me, I think the main reason why people sign, for me at least, is just for divorce, you know. So I haven't seen any other reason why people sign prenup. They're trying to secure their marriage from what exactly. So I don't think there's any other reason people will want to sign a prenup if it's not for divorce purposes. So if there's anything else, I don't know. This is, you know.
Yeah, just direct. You also asked if it was in the Bible. No, I've never come across it. So, but based on, we want to like try to understand, okay, what is the main purpose? What is the main reason for this suggestion or for this decision? Based on the explanation also, it's basically like, okay, in case if, just like the explanation Sister Chelsea made, saying that, okay, whatever you come into the relationship with or the marriage with, that's what you're going to take. So why do you think of taking it if not that you're about to exit the relationship, which concludes to coming back to divorce? So that's the reason why we're painting it to be around divorce, because it's something you're taking back when you exit in the relationship. So, and if you're thinking about that, then you might not easily flow in that relationship because you have an option. You might not really flow with commitments. You might not really flow with supporting that person as to saying that, okay, this is for us, this is both of us, this is for both of us, this is for ourselves, our children, our generations, and so on like that. We support each other with everything we both have, and so on like that.